Yeah, like what are we doing? Oh, they're talking about like opening the bag and just fucking pouring it down your throat.
Hmm.
All right,
Nah, she's
so
talking about all those little crummy crumbs at the bottom.
right. All right, so the way that we're gonna do this, Khalil, is I'll just whip out a random team, um, and one of us will get assigned to like the starting of that player. So I'll be like, Khalil, what do you think about Auburn? And you're gonna say I have them in, and you should be able to share screen and see, um,
Yep, I can
what we
see.
got, and just put them in one of these, and a brief thing of why, right? And then if we disagree or agree, anybody just kind of pop in and just go, and then we'll go and we'll figure out where we settle, right? Keep in mind we gotta do 32 of these, so I'm gonna kind of start with, we're gonna have to level it out a little bit, right? We want people to. Nobody's gonna argue about who's at D level, but just to recap. All right, S tier. Actually, hold on. I'll go ahead and like introduce this as a video. So get your subscribe, like YouTube stuff on, and then you gotta hit your content. All right, what's up, everybody? Finn is here, and I'm joined by some excellent on-time individuals for some top college football content. Joining me here is going to be Harp Daddy, the Cincinnati user. What's up, Harp?
Hey,
Also joining me is going to be Dylan, aka Orange Punch, aka Texas. What's up, my man?
Not much. Just
And
ready to do it.
of course Khalil, who is why we're starting in 9-12 and not 9. But anyways, we're gonna go over tier list. Chat was lit today with a little bit of your typical who's top 5, who's top 10, who's better than who chat. So we haven't done a tier list yet this cycle. We've got a lot of information to learn about people so far, so I think we have enough to kind of throw some people in there. First thing I want to count off is that there are a couple guys that are newer to the league in terms of just joining, like Donnie at Ohio State and Oregon's new user. So if you're new to the league, just understand that you're just going to kind of be generally placed. Obviously, if you want to use it as fuel, chip on your shoulder, MJ type shit, like go ham. But also, we're not like losing sleep if you are in the wrong one. But obviously, you get a chance to prove yourself the next couple of seasons. So the way this is going to go, we've got looks like 6 tiers here, right? Kind of self-explanatory. S tier, you're big time, like your favorite in every game that you play, unless you're playing another S tier user. You're the kind of guy people are looking at for a championship. Maybe you have one already, maybe you don't have one quite yet. That's not what we're talking about here. We're talking about skill level, not skill level plus team, who's being held up by a great roster. No. So what's your skill level? A is kind of the guys that we're kind of seeing as like conference champion. You should be fighting for those first round buys in the college football playoffs. You're expected to be competing, if not winning your conference championship every year. B is kind of your above average, your bubble teams, or your at large teams. Maybe you're the kind of guy that makes it to a conference champ. You may not be favored, but at least you're in that game with an opportunity to play your way in. C, middle of the road, average kind of guy that, with the right alignment could end up in a really, really good spot. And then maybe with a bad team, you kind of find yourself falling behind. So that's that C level. D, I'm going to put you as one change away from being competitive, right? Maybe there's one thing that you could heavily improve upon that will get you to maybe C or even B, right? It's not, it's not perfect, but usually it's that one or two things. And then E, we're talking about major adjustments. You got something going on with you, and things aren't looking right. You're not recruiting well. You're not playing well. Maybe you're a little too stuck in your scheme. So that's kind of the major things that we'll start with, and we're going to get all 32 of us in here. There's a lot of talking. Let's go with Harp, the guy that you just played, so you have some good experience on him, the Miami Hurricanes. Let's start with him. Where are you placing the Hurricanes on our list here? The winless Hurricanes.
putting me on the spot, huh?
Yeah, I mean, you're the last guy to play him. He's a new user to the league, big Canes fan.
I'd say he's in that D range. I've played him twice. He's definitely got a unique offense. He likes his bubbles, his screens, and he's He's always able to break, a big play here or there, but just hasn't been able to string enough of those together to win big games.
All right, so this is an interesting one because I don't know how I feel. I agree that one change away. Have you guys played Miami at all? Texas and Khalil?
I haven't. I'm looking at his record right now. He's got a career 8-40 record.
Yeah.
I played
Maybe.
Miami a few times. I kind of agree with Harp. I think that the skill is there. It's just the offense is a bit too predictable. So he kind of gets locked in on like you said, the screen game. And while that is powerful, like if you can just open that up and maybe pass the ball downfield and be a little more versatile, I can see him moving up.
So
Yeah, when we talk about the one change, it's probably the one change would be the play calling, right?
mhm.
If you took his skill and just put him in a different play style, he's probably winning, closer to 60-70% of his games.
Yeah, six skills there.
This
I agree with that.
This is where I'm going to keep him with you, okay? And again, this is tough because we're talking about users 0 and 12. Like, that feels like the E level, right? But one, he has played in the ACC 3 of our 4 seasons, which has been really tough, okay? So I'll give him the benefit there. He got thrown to the Wolves real quick. Second, his defense is pretty gnarly if you're not ready for it. He's got some. I mean, he's got the Platt quick jump. He's got some disgusting. I mean, he's got a guy that has already wore, Marquise Lightfoot. Just go look at him. 96 Excel, 85 speed. Like this is a good player. So, but offense, he could be recruiting a little bit better. I don't know how they started, but yeah, I think we're gonna keep him one change away just because of how hard that conference is, and the fact that it's not that he's coming out here throwing a bajillion picks. It's just he's a smidge predictable. So we'll leave him at D until further notice. Let's go SEC. Let's put you on the spot, Dylan. Auburn.
So I played him first time this year. Don't know much about him prior to the league, but it's a newer user. I would say between B and C, he has some above average qualities, but I just don't know enough about him. I'd say B probably.
You're gonna go B.
Because y'all been in the league with him before, right? So y'all.
Yeah, he's kind of in that brother league, that BL league that a lot of people are in, and he's kind of there. He was their Madden god for many years. And first of all, shout out Auburn, Bryce Kane, senior halfback, on one of the top 3 in the Heisman voting at the moment. So he's kind of a pass first guy. So for him to have a running back this many yardage or this much yards, kind of tells that he's not quite in his element, right? I think he's good, and I think we keep him in above average because he took like a pretty Auburn team, and he's in the SEC, and he's got like a winning record, right? So he's the kind of guy, if we put him in another environment against other users, he knows his way around the sticks. I think he's at the bottom of above average if we were to rank these guys inside of these groupings, which I guess we haven't made that decision yet. But what's your thoughts on that, Khalil? Have you played much of Austin?
I haven't played him at all. I don't think I've ever played him even in Madden. So I'm pretty, swayable, whatever you guys think.
Yeah, I think he's earned his respect across the leagues as a good user.
Yeah, he knew what he was doing.
So yeah, he's a good guy, and again, competing here for championships, or not championships, but Heisman for awards and stuff like that. With again, Auburn team he took over late. Here's an interesting one. I'm gonna give this one to you, Khalil. Where do you have ASU? Keep in mind this user was USC for a couple seasons.
Okay. ASU, another user that I have not played personally, but I have watched a little bit. I think I would place him in that C tier based on what I've seen. He doesn't seem like he's overly overly like will just win any game, like overly favored or anything like that. But I also don't see him like making like terrible mistakes that will just derail anyone's season. And if I'm not mistaken, he's got a pretty good record this season. I think he's ranked and potentially fighting for the Pac-12 championship.
Yep.
Haven't played him, but I think he's in that average range.
Anyone else want to pop in?
Yeah, I remember watching him when he was USC with the Zachariah Branch, and he knew how to utilize Zachariah Branch. One thing I noticed, he did use the D line sometimes, which kind of puts you at a disadvantage when you're not using a guy that can impact pass really.
Yeah, I agree. So up to this season, I'm probably putting him in the one change away, right? And obviously, I don't remember how that USC team was built. That was not, maybe not the strongest of the conferences, and things like that. But it looks like he knows how to use his good players, right? One of the best kick returner guys in the league with what he did with Branch. Because we've seen guys with Platt, shifty, but nobody has done what he did in that season yet. No one's come close to that level of production. So we know the stick skills there in terms of like the offense, and his big change was he really cleaned up without sacrificing the big play stuff. I mean, he's rocking a 78 overall quarterback. He's thrown 39 touchdowns to 19 picks. Now, 19 picks obviously is a lot, but that's not from like our league standards. Now, he does have a really good offense, 299 or 97 plus speed receivers that are both pretty nasty, but doesn't have this elite run game. So I'm going to say, do we hate putting him above average coming in with an ASU team and if you're balling out with that kind of freshman and going and winning games against, I don't know, but he did lose to Iowa.
I'd say it's fringe. I'd say
a
top
lot
half of average.
A lot of average people have lost to Iowa, though, right? Average, above average. Like,
right.
Iowa's that any given Sunday team. He's got some quality wins over Colorado, Washington.
Okay. So what are we thinking? Fringe at the highest end of average?
I'd say, yeah. If you're ranking these left to right, left being the highest in their tier, he's probably going to stay high in that C tier.
Yeah, maybe another season or two, we can bump up to above average of the success. I mean,
sorry, my daughter needed something. Go ask your mom. All right, I think we'll leave him at the high end of average and see what we have to do from there. Ooh, all right, let's go. I'm going to go ahead and throw some teams in here, some like Oregon. I'm going to put Oregon above ASU. Oregon's a really, really good user. He's newer. Kind of hard to place him, but he's the kind of guy that's competing with Auburn and stuff for national championships. He's winning Heisman's in his other league. I think he's a great fit for a really good Oregon team. But out of the sake of respect for the people in the league, I'm going to have to make him earn his stripes. But this is the kind of guy, just full warning, Oregon definitely is the kind of dude that can come in next year and win the Pac-12 if you're not careful. So we'll leave him there. Let's talk about Nebraska real quick. Harp, you've played a lot of Nebraska. What are your thoughts on him?
I'd say another user is just plagued by decision making. Play calling. Right. He's had a team that's allowed him to, really sling the ball around. But with that, if you're not careful, comes a lot of interceptions. Probably the one thing that's plagued him the most. Definitely lost some games because of interceptions. But, career record 0-15 versus top 25 teams. Probably keeps you in that D to E fringe.
Yeah. Any other thoughts on him, fellas? I want to he's my old boy, brought him to the league. I can't say that you're one change away when you've thrown 61 interceptions.
A lot of interceptions.
Yeah, that's tough. I agree with Cincy. I've only played him one time. It was this season. He actually gave me a fairly good game, but like Harp said, just the interceptions killed him. If he didn't throw those picks, like it would have been down to the wire. So I agree. Just plagued by decision making.
Yeah, and Dylan, you mentioned earlier using D line, right? Like that's normally the big tell that somebody isn't quite there yet in terms of being able to be competitive, and he still does quite a that. Now he started to get off of that, But yeah, like that's normally another big adjustment. It's like, hey, you're not going to win games trying to pass rush on the D line. Okay.
Right.
Harp will do it too, Cincinnati. So watch out for that cheese. But
One time.
he said one time. So let's go with another new user who has a 3-game win streak against Nebraska, Ohio State, Northwestern. He's going to be taking UCF on here soon. 6-5 in his first year. He took over Ricky's Boise State Broncos. His name, he goes by Crucifix. Boise State, Khalil, you played him, and it disconnected. I think you were up kind of big, ended up getting a force win.
Yeah.
What are your thoughts on him?
Another user who I feel like the fast pace of the college game with the decision making, if he could like just nail that decision making down, he's gonna be really good, really tough in this league. I only had the one game against him, and it was a good game. I think I was up 17, but it was closer than the score would have looked.
Mm-hmm.
I felt like, okay, like this isn't somebody I could just go into the game and sleepwalk on. You know what I mean? So I would put him either in that lower end to average or like maybe high top tier, one change away. I'm not sure. Maybe other people have an opinion, but he feels like he's got some skill there.
He hasn't played anybody else in the league, but he barely lost to Iowa on the road, considering the lag. He beat Miami 70-14, so I don't feel safe putting him in the same tier as a guy that he beat 70-14. I'm going to say, you look at this team, right, with all of us being dev, this is a 3-star team. I'm going to agree with you that he's fringe, but I almost think he should be fringe to above average. We're talking about a guy who came into a team that he didn't create, trying to compete. He beat Donnie. And again, Donnie is new to this league in terms of talent, but he beat an Ohio State team, beat Jeremy Kim, and Donnie is a Super Bowl winner in this league. I feel like we should maybe even be considering him to be the low end of above average.
I'm cool with that. You make a lot of good points there.
Yeah, I think it's a wait and see thing. Kind of, we haven't seen a full season yet, so I'm good with average for now, but with potential.
Yeah. Shout out
Go
Crucifix.
above average.
Yeah, shout out Crucifix. It's hard to come. A Boise State 3-star team. He's not exactly working with, Texas out here. I didn't even throw that shade. So. I didn't even throw that shade. Okay, we need a big dog. We don't have anybody on this list. Who do I want to throw at you guys? Let's go. Let's get this one out of the way. Let's go Ole Miss. Harp. No. We'll do Dylan this one. We'll do Dylan this one because he's got to play him here soon, and we're gonna set him up for failure. Where are you placing Ole Miss, P-Town?
I'd say A. I think he started the year. He played the game a ton, so he knew the game very well, and that's kind of translated to success every year. He's at ASU and Ole Miss. He's been in conference championships up there, if not in the game, close to being in the game every year. And he has, I consider him to have good user skill, where he's on defense, he's calling plays and he's adjusting his coverages. Whenever he knows I have flat takeoff, he's adjusting the safeties. I'd say he knows what he's doing. So yeah, A tier.
His only losses this season are a 7-point loss to Virginia Tech. No, sorry. Bigger. What is this? I can't do math. It's a 17-point loss to Virginia Tech, week 1, and then he lost to you 4 points in week 4. All right. Ever since then, he's been lights out. Like, the closest user to him was 42-28 Florida. Actually, no, Washington. Actually, I didn't see that. Washington played a pretty good game, and Auburn played a good game. But he's been lights out since he played, since week 8. Okay, he's got 1 championship win. He's made with this one. He's made conference championship 3 out of 4 times. He's won 2 of them against the guy that we're gonna put in S tier later. I don't know how you don't put P-Town. And I'm the one who said he sucked, but if anybody else had that resume but P-Town, we're putting him S tier. You have two. We played three. We've completed 3 seasons. He's won twice against Warren's conference.
It's tough. I'm gonna flat out say it. I think you're
And
right.
and he
deserves
did this
oh,
with a now. Granted, Warren also had a 3-star, but he did this with ASU, not with better teams.
The only thing I'd say is that sometimes he suffers from Willie syndrome, where he'll do some outlandish stuff and it just won't work.
Right. Do you think that maybe like the Army playbook thing even hindered him last year? I felt like he was kind of hot to end the year. Did he make college football playoffs last year?
He did. We had our that miraculous game where he was gonna beat me, and I came back.
Again, he's putting on the best product.
I think he's low end S. I think you made a lot of
Yeah,
good points. Another thing people don't think about. We regard Warren as like the top user in the league. Season 1, he beat Warren 3 times in 1 year. That's tough.
True. Yeah.
And it's tough. I get what Dylan is saying, like with the Willie syndrome or whatever, but I mean it's hard to take away his resume. If we're looking at it this year, you gotta put him in S tier. I don't know if he's high end, but you gotta put him in S. I think I agree with you.
Yeah, he might be the low end of it, but as fringe as you could possibly get to that. Because again, what we kind of said was the betting favorite every week. I don't know if I'm ready to bet P-Town every week, but he's did it against Florida. He's done it against Washington. He's done it against Auburn. He does it at Oklahoma, and he had a really good game with you, I believe, in week 4. Unless he was kind of coming back from behind. I can't remember exactly how that went, but he's ranked top 5, and that matchup is exciting for next week. So I wish I could tell you how to prep, but whew.
Expect the unexpected. Shout out my big brother watchers.
Luck.
Yeah.
Let's
Anything can go his way, it will go his way.
yeah. Let's go South Carolina here. The first half of the Bowen duo. I'm gonna put this one. I think he's one change away. This is a guy that straight up beat me last year. Obviously he's had some talent kind of flowing in and out of South Carolina. His inability to beat Clemson is going to wreck the college football playoff bracket this week. But then again, I didn't beat Clemson either. But South Carolina, I think, is a guy that if he is one change away, his defense is pretty solid. It's really just him getting a little bit too logged in on certain routes. He really likes his zigs and certain RPOs, and it's really easy to sniff that out. But he's put on some great performances. Y'all remember the season 1 overtime game versus LSU that was commentated and live to the league. That was a big one. And he's put up some good games. So does anybody else have any thoughts on South Carolina? You've played him a bit when he was in the SEC, right, Texas?
Yeah, I feel like he's solid, but he's got some steps to be average.
Would you put him above Miami?
I would.
I
I'd
would-
put him above Miami. Because did they play this year? Or did they play last year?
They played this year. He beat him 28-16.
All right. Well, I think that's, as fair as it gets. And there's a head-to-head.
Yeah.
Sounds good to me.
They'll take him. I don't know if that was a played win versus Oregon, but he, has a win versus. He has a winning. I mean, he's ranked right now.
It was not a force, so.
Oh, I didn't know that. I didn't know he was ranked.
I mean, he's ranked right now. Granted, the Big 12 had a lot of CPU games because a lot of people quit. So he does have a 4-game win streak that includes 2 forced wins. So there's that. But he sits at 7-5 on the season. So shout out South Carolina. Maybe, if he's, I get ranked is still like, in the league with stuff. I don't know. That I would say right now, he's one change away, and his one change could put him in the B tier. Does that make sense?
Here's the other thing. He also beat Oregon this year.
Right. I
played him. I played him in week 0, season 3. This is season 4 we're in, right?
Right.
I played him week 0, season 3, and everything you guys said kind of makes sense. He feels like he has that good defense. It's the offense that needs some work, but the defense is there. So.
He's also been in the SEC for years, and the first time we take him out of the Big 12, he goes 7-5, or out of the SEC, he goes 7-5, and he's ranked. This is what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna keep him at D, one change away, but I want to put it on the record here that his one change might jump C and go to B if he can get right.
Fair.
If he can get right. So I know it's very fluid. You think, well, duh, just put him in C. I feel like with the amount of CPU wins he's gotten, I think I need a little bit more from him. But I think he'll be in good shape. So, Derek is back. He's Arkansas. I think we're gonna have to. I'm just gonna put him in D tier. Derek didn't exactly impress during his time versus as Penn State and as Texas Tech. Couple of decent wins and memories, but coming back, a new team, work to do. Stanford, Frank, again, these are two guys that are in CPU divisions because they joined this year. I'm gonna put you in major adjustment because you lost to Notre Dame like 70 to something. But Frank's be all right. He'll be all right. We'll just get some of these guys out of the way since there isn't much to chat about. SC, I'm gonna go major adjustment, which is just show up. He's going through some stuff right now, I think personal wise, so I'm not trying to like make fun of him, but it's kind of hard to judge you on your new team if you've been absent from the league. So hopefully Hoff has got everything all right. Let's talk LSU. Have any of you guys played LSU recently?
Did I play him last year or the beginning of this year?
Yeah, y'all had a pretty close one at the beginning of last year, I think. So
I played him 3 times in the SEC.
You're right.
And I'd say he was better year 1 than year 3. Like he was year 1. I thought he was really competitive.
Mm-hmm.
He kind of dropped off from year 1 to year 3, kind of.
Yep. What are your thoughts? Did you end up playing him at all, Khalil?
I haven't played him. I've tuned into a few of his streams, trying to pay attention to like some of my survivor picks and whatnot. I think what Dylan said, it makes sense. I feel like I heard more stories of competitive battles and watched more competitive battles season 1. It's kind of dropped off. I've seen him get blown out a few times this season.
Mm-hmm.
But he doesn't seem like I feel like the skill is there. I know he has that like innate like fast-paced decision making is there with I know you guys play that racing game and like that comes with a lot of fast-paced decision making. So I know that's there, but maybe like taking the time to be a little more focused to learn the nuances of the college football game might be his one change. I think I'd probably put him in D from watching.
Yeah, for me, if he's going to be in one change, it's similar to South Carolina, where it's like we see you as average, but what's happening is it's just like if you could make that one adjustment move up. He played in obviously the lethal ass SEC for the first couple of seasons, and this is his first season out of it. He didn't impress, but I will say this: he's also on baby watch, so actually might be a dad now. They said it was due sometime this week.
Oh wow, congrats.
So shout out to you, Nick. Yes, this is a guy who is a pass first guy, and I think Jeremy Kim might have been the worst good thing that could happen to him. That first year with Nuss, he was doing because he's a Saints fan. We grew up playing Madden like in the Navy together. I mean, it's like Drew Brees 5 wide passing offense, and he's got that locked down. But I felt like with Kim, he felt pressured to bring in the RPO and the run, and then he had a plat shifty running back, and I was like, oh no, a plat shifty running back. But it just got him away from doing what made him good, and I think that is what killed some of those competitive games. But he only lost by 3 to Arizona State this year. He had a decent game against Pitt. He's got wins against Miami. I'll put him. I agree. I will say this: I don't see a team being above him in one change away.
Yeah.
So if he would have had a little bit better of a season, I think he's very easily within the average department. But yeah, I don't see if Arizona State's here and LSU's here. I don't see the I don't see somebody being between them. So, Donnie's back. Donnie's Ohio State. Again, out of respect for people in the league, we're just gonna kind of throw him in one change away. We don't know where Donnie is at. I mean, I think he came in and played.
He played me his first game. What I will say is Donnie will be fine. I don't know where we're going to put him here in this list, but The game was challenging. He had me on my toes. There was a point in the game where I was like, oh shit, I'm about to lose.
Right.
It's just he hasn't played college football. This is his only league or his first league. So we all had those adjustments when we first played, switching over from the Madden mindset to the college football mindset. It was a little bit different. So he will be fine. I can easily see him popping up to above average next season. Even what is a conference championship? I can see that too.
Yep.
Easily.
Yep.
So
Donnie obviously has to start with a brand new coach, I think, so that might hurt the recruiting trail. If he keeps Jeremy Kim, I absolutely agree with you. I think the one change away is just getting used to being back in this league with college football. But again, Donnie, Super Bowl winner. This isn't a disrespectful thing, but obviously we don't want to start getting too controversial with guys that just pop back into the league. So, let's talk another big dog. Let's go Allen B, the TCU Horned Frogs. I'm going to throw him on this one, then you guys can argue. I'm going to put Allen in above average. And that might be the controversial one.
Yeah, I think you're starting with a low.
I think that it's hard to disrespect my boy, right? When he was at Clemson, correct me if I'm wrong, he didn't go to the ACC championship at all, did he?
no, I don't believe so.
Because season one was
Season one was
He was
me and
always on the
Pest.
bubble.
Season 2 was me and King.
and then he left. He left to TCU.
Season 3, right? And then season 3 is TCU. So we have a guy that has with one of the best rosters in the game. Did make it. Also,
He missed the CFP season one as well. He didn't make that either.
I'll give him benefit of the doubt because he had to take a forced loss against me because he was at a wedding, right? So I won't do any dare disrespect to drop him, and I'm going to put him as the top B tier team. I will not put another team immensely. For me, obviously, it could be argued, but like I don't think I could put another team above him and be average. But to start off the year with Clemson and make no conference football or conference championships, I hate to bring this back up, but to have to straight up break a rule to beat Phil to get on his college football players role. This is a guy that's made a championship. And then he goes to TCU, and I just don't think he's, despite the talent that's there, it's challenging, it's tough. But that's where I'm going to start him. What do you guys think? Is that too disrespectful? Do we have to move him up to A?
I think the results are lower than the user skill. I think his user skill is higher than the results he's had.
I agree. But also, the teams haven't been lower either. In fact,
so with TCU in year 3, I played him in the SEC championship, right? I'm pretty sure. I'm not sure what he did in the playoff. Year 3.
Did you won that SEC championship?
Yeah, I won that.
Was it by a lot? Was it by a lot or was it by a little?
I think it was by 2 or 3 scores.
I mean,
and then year 2, he won against Phil with the rule, and then he beat me in round 2 in the playoff with Clemson.
Right, but yeah, it's tough. It's tough because Allen absolutely like from a user, but again, I don't know if the user skills translated. Many would consider him just kind of a like again, Allen's gonna be so fucking mad at me. I could feel it already. like
I mean,
look at the rosters he's had. His offense is a little ability merchant. It's a little bit like Kyle gets behind you, or his running back has a disgusting game. I don't really see a lot of scenarios where Allen is like beating you with scheme offensively. Now, defensively, Allen is and was always going to be one of the better users in the league. Like defensively, he's really, really good. And if you're saying, hey, just off of that alone, and the fact that he took TCU to the conference, but again, when we were talking about the groups, it was like the kind of person that should be a favorite to win a conference championship. He's only made one, and he lost by multiple scores.
But we're talking about a guy who also recently just beat Warren. It's
tough. He's really good. I played him 3 times. I'm 2-1 against him. But the one loss he got me was the CFP semifinal. So I mean,
I don't think you're going to find somebody with more quality losses and quality wins than Allen. You know what I mean?
Wasn't Pitt his kryptonite years 1 and 2?
Yeah.
He lost to Pitt both years.
Yeah. Pitt got him.
Yeah.
Something like that. Yeah. I want to put Allen low A. I agree with you all. The user skill is there. I feel like he's pretty like meta reliant, like it's like plat takeoff or power run. And we all know how strong those are this year. But it's
Yeah.
hard to take away from the results of made a championship. He lost, but he made it against some. I mean, like you said, he did break a rule, but I mean, he had to put himself in the position to be one play away to win that game against Phil. Had a good playoff run. Took TCU. Their defense is kind of crappy when he took them over, but I don't know. It's tough. I think it's a little disrespectful to not have him in A though.
So I'd say he's going to be either be the top B tier team or he's going to be mid to low A tier.
All right. I'm gonna give him his respect, but Alan, this is the challenge, bro. This is the challenge right here, because I know you see yourself as a S tier guy mentally, and that's fine. There's no like you should always see yourself when you compete as a S tier. That's not disrespectful to Alan, but you gotta compete. You gotta compete. But you know what? I forgot he made the SEC champion, or at least made the SEC championship game before we broke the SEC up quite a bit. So
I'd say he's winning more games than he's losing versus other A tier players.
okay.
Yeah.
I'll give him that. All right. Let's go with Washington. He's got James Washington, Heisman candidate, halfback, a guy who last year almost left the league because he coaches football and had a little bit too much going on. This year, I mean, he's been ranked multiple times in and out of the top 25. He's got one of the more premier young quarterbacks that have been picked up. Again, going for the Heisman. Let's take a look at some quality wins. He should have lost to Oregon week 1. Just to be clear, he got a lucky 2-0 lag out win. He's beaten Boise State. He's lost to Arizona State, lost to Texas, but he had a similar versus Pitt, and he just got done beating number 6 Colorado. So Ahard is the kind of guy that competes. He's got his team up to 90 overall after kind of being rough the first season. Any experiences with Ahard?
I haven't played him, but when you just look at the win-loss record, I mean, he's got quality wins over teams like you said, Colorado, Pittsburgh, but then just a random 62-42 loss to Arizona State.
I'm a big I always sing Ahard's praises. Ahard came over from a league that I actually met Dylan in, met Juice, met Digga, like all those guys. I met them in this other league, and Ahard was like one of the best users in that league. I will always sing his praises. He taught me the rules of quarters, cover 4 quarters and palms years ago, and helped me understand, like just from a pure football perspective, how to use those coverages. I think he is above what his record has been. If I had to place him, I'd probably put him in the low end of B, just because obviously he hasn't had the most success. I don't think he's made a CFP. I don't think he's made a conference championship. But like you said, he gets quality wins here and there. Maybe he's plagued by team. I haven't really looked too deep at Washington, but I'll always sing Ahard's praises.
Yeah, I think Washington was kind of bare bones year 1. So he's kind of had to build them up. And I think user skill wise, he's probably above average. He knows how to call plays. He knows how to use her.
Yep.
So I'd say probably be above average.
Yeah, I'm gonna agree, and I think we're gonna give Auburn the nod ahead of them in that, just because of like kind of that strength of conference and stuff like that. But that's not. I don't want to split hairs. I agree with you. I think Ahard's reputation as a defensive player, he knows the game. He knows how to use her. You're not gonna get away with cheap stuff against Ahard. And offensively, he's a kind of guy that really has to adjust to Madden. If you guys have played him when he's his Tampa Bay Buccaneers, he's really in these like really weird shotgun bunch sets. So for him to kind of come over here with maybe not that elite receiving talent and have to kind of rely on the running game, it's been interesting. But he didn't just beat and upset number 6 Colorado. He beat him 45-17. So I think he's an above average user, because you've got to come correct at all times to beat him. And he just beat me pretty bad with ECU in top 24. So, let's go with a guy, Tennessee. I'm going to get Tennessee in one change away, and I'm going to put him behind LSU as my thought. You guys have played, I don't know how much you guys have played Tennessee, Um, I've always said this. The moment not Joey figures out how to play defense is going to be the fucking day, because this is the kind of dude that can just come out and sling the football.
Yeah, he can. He when I played with SEC when he was in Tennessee start the year, he'd come out 5 wide spread formations, and he knew how to get guys open.
Right.
That's kind of all he did was really throw the ball, and he was pretty good at it. But just he couldn't get stops.
Yeah. He just doesn't really have a plan, and it's really easy to kind of one play touchdown him and kind of keep him passing and stuff. The record doesn't show it, but he's a guy who's kind of been a good playoff user, and I think he's just in a behind the curve, tough conferences, but he's had a good Tennessee team, so I can't give him that like, oh man, you've been struggling. And he also missed like all of season 1. So I'm gonna put him at one change away if that's cool behind LSU, and that changes if he can lock down on defense and start allowing 25 points a game instead of like 35 points a game. He's gonna be fucking dangerous. Any thoughts on that?
Sounds
I'm good with it.
Yeah, we're
Sounds
rolling.
spot on.
We got a lot of teams. I know. We're gonna keep it moving. Let's talk about Phil. All right, the Red River rivalry? Oh, I said that without a fucking lisp. You've played him a lot. Tell us about him.
Yeah, he joined the league when we were playing year 1, and we ended up going to double overtime. I was kind of shocked. Just joining the league right off the bat. He has good skill. I'd say, have I lost to him?
I do not think you've lost to him yet.
I think they've all been close. I would probably say B tier or top of C.
I mean, he made
Anybody
college
has any
football. He
thoughts?
did make college football playoffs, and I think he deservedly beat Warren or Allen. Talking about that game
Right.
from earlier. I don't know the lag. Do you get that lag that people talk about? Because he lives in London.
I've never had a lag issue with him.
Okay, so we can kind of maybe safely assume that some of these games aren't just as a result. Because, like, for example, Florida, he beat 32-3, right? So I don't think
Yeah.
an average user is beating that Florida team 32-3. I don't know, so we're just going to safely say it's not lag. But then he went and lost to Auburn and Ole Miss, a close game with Auburn, so I feel like putting them this close to each other is perfectly acceptable.
Yeah,
I-
maybe put him above Washington just because he got to the CFP.
Okay. In the SEC, right?
Yeah.
Not,
Yeah.
Okay, so credit where it's due. Phil, another guy coming in from Better League, a valuable user. We appreciate you being here when you see this. I don't know, not anytime soon, tonight or tomorrow. Penn State. I'm gonna put Penn State in average. This is just his second year, and he didn't get to play much this year. Penn State is. It looks like he knows how to recruit. I'll tell you that. In T24, that fucking guy's got it on lock. So watch out for what Penn State might be bringing in.
He's got it on lock in the main league too. He's top 3 every season he's been here, I think.
yeah, he's number 3 right now.
And he
He's
was
got
not
3 5-stars and 21 4-stars.
and he was a powerhouse last year too. So he definitely knows how to recruit.
He did make the Big Ten championship, but I think it was on one of those like weird tiebreakers, and it was just a bad year for the Big Ten. I think that all 4 of these users are very close in skill, but because of the CPU season, and kind of his defining game was coming back and beating Grid, but he was down like 39-7 or something versus Grid. So it's one of those like, you came back, but also you were down by a shit ton. So we're gonna go, Travi, keep you here, but that recruiting stuff is has been elite. All right, I think it's time we do one of us 4. I don't know. Let's go Cincinnati. Cincinnati is an interesting user. I'm just placing him right here so I can move my control over. Okay, don't jump down my throat. Okay. Cincinnati is, fellas, when you look at the depth charts, this might be the worst offensive line in football. He's had to make do with what little talent he's had. He sits at 87 overall for the team now. You had a rough game against Auburn earlier this year, and you haven't quite competed for conference champs. But I think what you're doing with that team and some kind of tougher matchups, right? You win there, you beat South Carolina, you beat Oklahoma this year. I I've seen you win some good games. You had a battle 7-6. He beat Clemson 7-6. I watched this dude hold the Clemson CPU offense to fucking 2 field goals. But you're also dead last, not in just the 32 people of the league, Hart. You're dead last in college football as a whole on third down. You were the worst third down user in the league.
Yeah. I think I find myself in a lot of third and long.
So I'm going to put you at one change. No. I could do third. I'm going to put you above average right here with Washington. But I don't know if I can put you above these guys because I just think what you're doing with that team's incredible. You're absolutely an above average user, but you're holding yourself back. Well, go ahead and plead your case. Plead your case. Plead your case.
I've beaten everybody in that row but Auburn.
Okay, so you want to be higher in that row.
I'm just saying.
I can give you higher than that
Tell
row.
me where you want.
I can give you higher than
everybody in that row but Auburn. I did play for one Big Ten championship.
Okay.
I lost that to UCF. First 2 years was just, rough, right?
Right.
Taking an 80 overall school. First 2 years were definitely hard.
Okay. Do you?
I'd say,
yeah. Go ahead. What's up?
B tier is fair. I'd say watching your games, you know what you're doing. You had a lesser school and you've been competitive. So if teams even out, I'd say you could jump, but I'd say B tier is fair for now.
Yeah. I mean, to take the fact that Cincinnati is this high on the list right now, 4th of everybody that we've done.
Yeah, career record 32-19.
There you go.
So not terrible.
All right, Khalil, I'm gonna give you this one. Where are you placing King? NC State.
Oh, that's a good one. I want to put King. He's gonna get down my throat for this. Pause. I want to put King at the very top of above average, or at like low A. But I just haven't seen the playoff success to put low A.
So he has won the last 2 ACC championships, and he has beaten myself and Warren to do so.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, when you factor that in, sure. Yeah, like low A. I want to see some more. I don't know. It just feels like when I watch King, and I haven't played him in a few years because I'm not in the ACC anymore. But when I play and watch King, it just feels like, all right, like there's something that he's not doing that the guys who are like getting these consistent deep playoff runs are doing, and I can't put my nose on it what that is. But I mean, you can't argue with 2 ACC chips. I mean, I know last year Warren was in the ACC, so it wasn't like, I mean, and you and Best are in it. It's not a sweet conference. Like that's a pretty tough conference. So can't argue with that. And he's really good on defense. He will throw some interesting looks on you. He's the guy that plays in 3-3-5 all game, but like somehow still shuts down your run, which I don't understand. But he's a real life, head coach, and I'm pretty sure he's like from the defensive side of the ball. So like I know he knows what he's doing there.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, low A. I'm cool with that.
Right. He's got like again this season, he has 1 win against the team with the winning record, and then 3 losses in a row. I think what's holding him back is he's very one-dimensional on offense. He's got his plays, he's got his like style, right? But if you get him off of that, and I just don't think he passes the ball all too well, right? Granted, me and Art were going over the game. It was like 28-7. I had him at halftime, and he scored 42 points in the second half. So it's just not to say he does not have offense. You don't win 2 conference championships without doing that. But if you're asking, well, what is it that gets him? Well, when he gets to that level where somebody is able to kind of lock in on that run game that he likes and force him to drop back and pass, he's NC State. We're not talking about an elite football school, right? So, he's had to do some work and build that team. But yeah, defense, terrifying. Stay away from those safeties at all cost. They will wreck your wear and tear bars. But I'm ready to put him at low A. Any objections with that?
Yeah, I'm good with that. Where do you put him, below Allen or ahead of Allen?
This is a tough one. I'm going to put him ahead of Allen because he has 2 conference championship wins.
Yeah.
yes, Allen got to a national championship, but again, the team disparity there is just like I think if you would have given
Yeah.
King those Clemson teams or even that TCU team, good luck. I think there's a
Yeah.
national
Yeah,
championship.
but
over.
I mean, it's not like NC State, was a 80 overall team coming in. Like they were. I mean, when the game came out, NC State was ranked.
I think they were like 87 overall, if I'm not mistaken.
Right. Yeah,
First
it wasn't
started
that bad of a team to start with.
I feel like from a user perspective, I'd want to have Allen above King, but from a results perspective, this year you can't argue with the champ. So I don't know. It's tough.
Right. And again, I don't know where we're going to put me. We're going to get there. But he's got a conference championship win over the guy that we're going to put in S tier.
I mean, he does have 2 conference championships, but he's also 0-2 in the
Two
CFB.
of 3, right?
Right, 2
No,
of
he
3.
beat me in the college football playoffs. I'm pretty sure.
Well, the playoff record stats
No,
say 0-2.
he beat me, and then I beat UCF, but I didn't lose to him second time. That's the sorry.
All right,
I think,
he's 500 against top 25 teams career wise. So.
Oh, are you in the coach stats? Okay.
yeah, he's going through the coach sets.
Gotcha,
All right,
gotcha.
we have. I've done Harp. Khalil, I'm gonna have you. Where do you place Orange Punch?
I've said it from the beginning of the year. A very humble guy here. I don't know if it's fake humble or not. I'm gonna assume it's not. I'll give you the benefit of the doubt. S tier user for me. Again, another one of those guys who I was in a league with in years ago, and a top tier user over there. Had even more success in my opinion than Ahar did over there. Now I don't know. I can't remember. I don't think it was a long time. Orange. I don't think you were in fourth inches that long. I can't remember, but people are gonna push back because that Texas roster, like #fuck Texas, is godly. But I mean, playing them twice in the last 2 years, it's tough. You know what you're doing. It's hard to beat you. I think the coach record, I'm pretty sure you have. It's either the best record or the second best record. It's hard to argue with that. Despite the team strength, I'm in 3 leagues and I've seen players with good teams not be this good. So you still have to pilot the team. I'd say strong S tier candidate, and I wouldn't want to see him any lower.
I don't know.
I'm not gonna make him talk himself down, so I'm gonna give him something to defend himself with. Okay. Obviously we know the accolades, right? He's a champion. He's a 3-time SEC champion, and about to go for the 4th time, right? He's undefeated in SEC play this year. For what it's worth, when you are given a team like this, the expectation as a good user is you do exactly what he's done, right? Too many times we shit on users, and it's like, well, they got elite teams, and what did they do? They barely performed. He hasn't barely, so there's credit where it's due. I do think that 2 major college football playoff games and events are going to be what knocks him down to A for me, and which kind of override the whole, which add on to the fact that he's had Texas, right? First is, I was not, again, you're my guy, but I was not impressed with the ASU game season 1. It's P-Town. You got your first P-Towning, and, maybe that's all it was. But I felt like that was the first time that you had got put in a position where you had to go out there and win a fucking football game off of I can't just go dominate on the ground. I got to go throw. And it wasn't pretty considering you were having insane abilities, the insane offense, right? It doesn't mean you failed every test, but that was the first failed test. The second is the fact that you got to the college football playoff championship game off of a glitched play. And I don't want to dissuade your championship. I don't want to come in and just shit on you. But what are the 2 things? Well, that very much takes off. If that doesn't occur, that you're not going to the championship. And that means, again, if buts, candy nuts, right, the whole deal. But that is why I'm going to put you in confidence at the top of A tier for me personally. So do you have a defense on that, or what are your thoughts?
I don't think I've earned S tier yet. Just with the roster I started out with, I don't think I feel like I go into every game with a roster advantage. Mm-hmm. So I don't feel like I've earned S tier yet.
Got you. Hey, we can respect that. But I will say
Yeah, I
this:
feel like
that excuse
next
is going
year-
away for the league. That excuse is going away soon. Okay,
it'll even out soon.
it'll even out. Well, he did get what 20 fucking 5 stars. But yes, it is starting to even out, and that's going to go away. I think you could. I will say this: you can be S tier by the end of this cycle, which I would say some people would say you can't be. But that's what I'll give you. Is I think, hey, you're A, but you could very well be S tier by the end of the cycle, and then at that point you just got to get treated like the rest of them, which you're constantly defending your existence.
Yeah. One thing I would say about that ASU game year one, I made the mistake of playing it back to back after I just beaten Ohio State.
Oh, and you were blinded.
Yeah. So that was a rough experience. I should have played better, but I think it's kind of a running off adrenaline, playing a playoff game right before that, and then going straight into the next one.
Gotcha. I agree.
The International House of Pancakes, man.
All right, let's go.
Gotta get your power lineman.
Let's go Pest. I'm gonna get Pest in average, top of average. He's obviously competing for an ACC championship this year, but his picks rival that of the guys like Nebraska. And with a team like FSU, I don't think that we can do that. He didn't get FSU after they were ranked. He got the ranked FSU team, and I feel like this is the first time he's kind of starting to put it together. But I'm going to put Pest in average as an attempt to A, get shit on tomorrow night when I play this game, and B, to challenge him. Is there any thoughts on FSU?
I think it's too low. As someone was in the ACC and lost the first ACC championship, lost to Pest. I think it's too low. I'd put him in above average. I'd agree he has the problems with the throwing picks, but on the flip side, he is one of the most creative takeaway users in the league. He gets a lot of picks as well, so it kind of balances out there. I think he knows what he's doing, and he's starting to get it together, like you said. I just think average is a little bit too low.
Yeah, I think he plays the game a ton, so he knows what he's doing. He has somewhat of a scheme. So I'd say above average.
Okay, would you put him above any of these guys or in the group?
He just beat me.
I would put him above Cincy, maybe
But
below
again,
Auburn.
I think his roster's a lot better than yours.
I'd say he's comparable to Washington, to Ahard.
Okay.
Okay.
Put him in that group. Listen, I mean, I did forget that he had the year one championship, but again, I just feel like he's super underperformed when we're looking at a 91 overall team.
Yeah,
Right.
I agree with that.
Right, like
But I'd say
Damn, 91 overall team. I didn't realize it was that high.
yes, FSU's team is literally disgusting.
Wait, this is
Okay,
stock 91, or are you talking about 91 now?
He's not even right now.
He's
It was
91
better stock.
right now.
Okay.
Yeah, this team is and has been unreal for a majority of the cycle. And for what it's worth, I play Pest in another league, and he's really good in that other league, but we are all stacked teams in that league, and there's 6 of us, right? Now, Pest does have, like, NC State's, like, number. Like, he has a win against them this year, but I just don't think he's played good enough to be above B. I will concede that he should be in B, but yeah.
I think Pest's biggest enemy is himself. Too often I see
picks?
Pest
Yeah.
throwing a pick, going to chat, complaining about how terrible the game is, and then he'll be like down 21-0 or something, and then he'll come back in the second half, like once he gets out of his own head. So,
Let me justify Pest real quick. Comeback King for sure, getting out of his own head. But in chat, I don't feel like he's complaining about the game. Pest is really big on just like speaking in chat. He just speaks in chat. He'll just be like, good throw. I'm an idiot. I'm a dumb throw. But Pest is always the kind of guy that'll give you your flowers.
Yeah, no, I don't think he's complaining about the game. Just like what I mean is just going to chat, and it feels like he's like saying his inner monologue out loud, and it's like I feel like I can see him beating himself up, and it's like, dude, just go back and get a pick. You're great at getting a pick on the other side. Like, you know what I mean?
Right.
I don't know.
Right. All right. You got him there. All right. I'm gonna come here. I'm gonna throw my guy Pitt. He's on vacation, so he's taken a lot of force losses this season. Despite the force losses, he's gonna end this season with the winning record. He had Clemson's number. Last season he did some really good stuff, and I think it's just conference and a little bit of thing. I'm gonna put him above average with Pitt. I mean, it's Pitt. And he's not only developed that team well to now 90 overall, but he's been competing in the ACC extremely well and has beaten quite a few people. He beat me season 1. He beat Clemson twice. Have you guys played Pitt much at all?
I don't know that I've played him at all.
I played him
either.
twice. I think it was season 1 and season 2 when I was still in the ACC. We split.
Right.
It was a close game, the game that I lost, and I think it was a close game, the game that I won. I agree. I think he's above average, knows what he's doing, has a tough roster to start with, and is still like had some pretty good. I think he's been. I don't know. I think you could check this. How many winning seasons has he had? I think he's winning seasons
He's
every year.
winning seasons every year. I mean, I don't know where to place him in B tier. I don't know if I want to put him over you, Harp, or not, because you guys are both like similar spot. I'm going to give it to you because you've been to a conference championship, but that's where I would put him.
Yeah. I mean, he's in that same tier, right? He's 34-16 career, right? 3 winning seasons, but no conference championships, no college football playoffs. Yeah, I would say
Yeah, but with Pitt
that's the
in
very definition of B tier.
right, and what we've considered to be the conference, one of the conferences, SEC and an ACC have been battling and have some of the highest skills. So, any other thoughts, Texas? I don't think you've played Pitt.
No, I just
Uh-uh.
watched him a little bit, but yeah, I agree with what everybody's saying about B. So
Cool. All right. Orange Punch, where are you putting Virginia Tech? Hey, Alan, we're doing some content. I'm gonna have to ask you to let us knock that out.
Oh, all right, my bad.
I appreciate you. It's just too many voices to have 5 in there, and we're already almost done. I didn't want to kick him out like that, but you know.
I
I'd
think
put-
you're just gonna mute him.
Virginia Tech A tier.
You're gonna go A tier. Man, you played, split the 2 games you've had. You got to put him right next to you.
Yeah, I think
Okay.
user skill wise, he's right there. Virginia Tech was a above average roster to start the year, and he's had success throughout 3 years. Made it to a national championship, beat me this year. I think he knows what he's doing user skill wise. I've always played him close years before. So yeah, I'd say A tier.
I would say that assessment's fair, right? I mean, you're talking about somebody who's got an 81% career winning percentage. You know, he's got that conference championship and made a deep playoff run. I mean, I think that's too good of a resume to be in B. And then I don't know what his head-to-head is again if he's played outside of Texas. I don't know if he's played NC State or TCU.
Well, I will say this. There's 2 people so far ahead of him on the list. He's beat them both this year.
Okay.
So I think that's squarely where he is. Now, Pete Town's ahead of him because it's S tier, right?
Right.
The question is, where do we place him next? I mean, do we want to fight between these 2? I don't think we need to fight. We'll consider you guys even, and that's where I would say it. Khalil took a long time off from the league, came back, took Virginia Tech on a whim. I think the first bit was you figuring shit out, but I think you've kind of firmly solidified yourself. You said 11-1. Your only loss was a close game to Colorado, which is a good football team and a tough team to deal with, right? It's just try to stop that run game. So, but I will say this, though. I think you're closer to S tier than Texas right now. And I think a run this playoffs, this college. I mean, I think 2 wins in the playoffs. This I don't even need a national championship. You go another deep college football playoff run, Khalil, and I'm ready to put you in S. Do you feel like that's where you are? Or do you have an argument for it?
I think I have an argument for S. I'm okay with being placed in A. I think I'm one of the only users in the league with more than 5 playoff wins. I've had 2 deep runs. I made the semis season 2, and I made the champ game season 3. I didn't win, so I have that knock against me. And then I also play in like no shade to anybody else in the conference, but I would say the Big Ten is probably the weakest conference or like of users, like maybe the Big 12 because it's mostly CPUs now, but the Big 10 wasn't exactly a hard conference to win. So I'm okay
Right.
with A. I think the argument for S is there, but I'm okay with A.
Here's the thing. I don't know if you're the betting favorite if you play Texas. I don't know if you're the betting favorite if you play a couple more users in the league, right? Me and you have our talks. You said it in Discord. I'm just going to read what he said. I can't beat you, right?
Yep. I can't.
So
I think I'm like 0-2.
I don't know
and
where we're
that's
putting
where you're at.
myself in there. Obviously, we'll get to that. But I feel like if we're at that case where it's like there's still some doubt on if Virginia Tech can beat somebody, I don't know how much of that is roster now. You are 88 overall. You have a great defense and some good, good receiver here and there. And of course, the best quarterback in the league. Shout out Iosef Fedora. But yeah, I think you're close though. I think it's right there. It's right there. And I'm gonna have you tied with Texas, which if he's S tier with Texas's roster, we're right in there.
Very fair. I'm cool with it.
All right, let's do this. I'm gonna place this guy. Okay. All right. I'm going to read off how many losses he's had each season. Okay? 2, 2, 3, 1. He's won his conference multiple times. He's done it for multiple teams. Both of his teams were bare bones, absolute ass. The second addition to S tier, for me, obviously, if you argue down, is Baylor. I think this is a guy that is still just being held back by just like dog shit rosters. And you know what? Maybe there's something to be said about his team building, but I still think Danny comes to play at all times, and he's doing this with like some bare bone shit. And he is playing extremely good football. The results and the alignments haven't been there. What are your guys' thoughts? Anybody want to move him way up, way down? We can't move way up.
I love Danny, and I think if we're doing a historical user tier list, he's an S. I think if we're looking at this year of the game, gotta knock him down to A. It's respectable what he's done with the two teams he's had, Maryland Terrapins, shout out to Maryland, and Baylor. Neither of them great rosters at all, but he's got no playoff wins. Does he have a conference championship? I'm not
Two.
sure. Maybe one. He has two. Okay, so he has two conference championships.
Granted, weaker. He so remember he was gonna play grid on even field for the national championship.
Oh yeah,
And
yeah.
Grid had to submit, so he did get the win there. But he did win the Pac. I
championship.
believe he won the Pac-12 straight out. Was it 2 years in a row?
Yeah.
I feel like it was 2 years in a row.
I'm not sure. I think you can check that in the coach stats though, how many conference championships they won.
You can.
And he would have had both.
Isn't this his third year as Baylor?
Second year.
This will be the third year.
He's
His
in
third
his
year as
third year.
Baylor.
He is in his third year as Baylor.
Yeah.
And this is year 4?
This
or
is your
5?
4. This is your 4.
Yeah. No, this is 4,
Okay.
yeah.
So only 1 year at Maryland.
Right.
Right.
Okay.
And he won a conference championship there.
My counterpoint
Right.
would be the loss to Colorado this year, which I think is, compared to Baylor, is probably pretty equal roster wise. And if somebody in S tier shouldn't be losing to an above average to average user with equal rosters.
He also lost to Allen. He lost to Finn. I mean,
Again,
this year,
these are, first of all, on the road at TCU, on the road at Colorado. The only home game was between me and him. And he is, again, my thing is the worst roster, I think, right now of the intermediate teams. Like
right, but in a year that he's had the best roster that he's had, he's also got the worst record that he's had.
That's because he's playing against like the number 4. His losses are to number 4, number 6, and number 1.
I just would have want to see him at least eked out one of those. Again, like historical S tier user, I'll have no say. And this year, I'm still A. Like, I'm not saying B. I would say A.
I mean, I could see.
Say A. I don't know that you can be S tier. Like, I obviously I have no Madden biasy, right?
Did he
You
win
know,
the Heisman? He won the Heisman too. Year one with a guy with no abilities. No. He Heisman. He was called the People Heisman. Trey Moore won the Heisman.
right?
Yeah.
But like he's doing like okay. If we want to move him, but is he going below Texas, Virginia Tech?
I haven't played him, so
Yeah, I haven't played him either, so I don't have a hard say.
Are we gonna go a 3-way tie for you guys and just keep it like that, like mentally in that group?
I,
I'm okay with him being above me. Like I said, historically, I think like if I were to think back to our matchups, he probably beats me like 60% of the time throughout the years. So like
I think he's done
I'm okay
just
with him
as
being above
much
me.
with a worse roster.
Yeah, I'm cool with him being at the top of A,
Gotcha.
personally.
Let's go ahead and get this one over with, and let's just put Warren and give him his flowers, right? One-time national champion, has made 2 of the national championship games. He's won multiple. Well, actually, I can't remember if he actually won the Pac-12 years who or whatever. But Warren's Warren. He's done a great job building that team. A 99 speed, 99 excel quarterback that was not gifted to him, right? Recruited. UCLA is not a good roster by out the gate, and he's done some work with that. So, any issues? Obviously, calling Warren the best in the league at the moment.
Nope. Great user, great ability to bring a team that's not great up to the top. No arguments.
Got you. Let's go UCF. I'm gonna put UCF kind of in this this above average tier. I don't know exactly where I want to put him. I don't know where the fuck UCF even is. Did they?
Over bottom left.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm gonna put him in above average. Good defensive build, but I don't think that his offense is creative enough to kind of like I'm just not looking like I'm looking at a guy who's just kind of getting away with like having this like that really big run game year one that year that he went well, but I don't think he's made like a deep playoff run. He's made
He has one. He made the semis season 3. He made the semis.
Okay, did he win one of those games? I can't remember who.
I think he beat Danny. He beat Baylor in the first game.
Got it.
He
Yeah.
lost to me in the semis. I can't remember who he played in the
Got it.
the 8 round.
Gotcha. A solid user, has built a good team. Currently sits at 8-4 with losses to TCU, UCLA, Iowa, Virginia Tech. That's a really good record in terms of who he's not winning. I do think that I kind of favor these guys above him right now in terms of what their scenarios are, but I feel like Juice has like absolutely put himself in above average territory, which checks for how he's been consistently across top. Any thoughts there?
I think pretty accurate.
Yeah, I agree.
Alright.
I'd say above average fits him well. And
Cool. We've graded, everybody here has graded each other except for Georgia Tech. Harp, you haven't gotten a chance to grade. Where are you putting Georgia Tech?
Where am I putting Georgia Tech?
And then I'll let you guys go after as well. Lay it on me.
I would say that really probably the only thing that's eluding Georgia Tech is the national championship. So if you're talking about a resume and based off of that resume, if the only thing you haven't won is a national championship, you've got to be top of a lower tier of S. I don't see how you could make an argument any other way, right? When we talk about things like betting favorites, right? Unless when you're playing anybody else in that A group, I would say it's probably, you know, 55% in your favor, 60% in your favor. And then, when you're in that S tier, maybe it's a 60-40 split. So I would say that you are held back by the quality of the conference. I would say lower S if I had to place, right? If you're in a different conference, I think you're probably making deeper playoff runs than, because the ACC was a pretty stout conference for the first 3 years. I mean, it still is. being somebody who just moved to the ACC conference for the first year out of the Big Ten, it's definitely a different level.
All right, on to
So-
Colorado. No, just kidding. Khalil, I'll let you go. I'll let you go. Khalil, thoughts?
Look, I can't beat you, so I'm gonna have a hard time arguing anything below where I am placed. I think that, like Harp said, the lack of the deep playoff run is gonna hurt you in this convo in terms of this season, or this cycle, I should say. I think you're top of A, maybe tied with Danny, or like I don't know. If I could see a deep playoff run, I'm absolutely willing to move you up. But it's just tough, But you didn't have a great roster to start with, but you've kind of built a dominant force on defense. I mean, I look at your, not to glaze, but I look at your defensive roster and I just start to salivate, like with all the talent. Shout out Naylor, baby Aaron Donald, and then the cornerback talent. I mean, you have all the tools to be able to shut people down. So top of A for me, but I'm absolutely willing to move you up with some deeper playoff success.
Yeah, I mean, when you talk about somebody who's done more with less of a roster, I don't think anybody's take. I mean, Georgia Tech wasn't a powerhouse, right? I think when you took that team, it was probably what, an 83, 84 overall team.
Mm-hmm.
It's 92 now, right? So when you talk about user ability, one of the biggest things in college football is recruiting, right? You got to be able to build that team, and so I think that probably plays. That's a pretty heavy weighting factor when you talk about a user's ability within the realm of college, and I don't think anybody's done that as well as you have.
Silent
from
fist
from a
pumps.
team standpoint.
Silent fist pumps. Texas, anything to add before I defend myself when what I think is a fair rating so far?
Yeah, I'd agree. We haven't played, so I haven't seen it head to head. But I see the wins over Baylor and TCU, which we've established as A tier users so far. So I'd say top of A, low side of S is what I'd agree on.
Sorry, daughter's giving me some love here. I'm not gonna fight you, but I will say you guys are teetering on S and A again this year. Wins against 3 of those A group guys. Khalil says, got a winning record against Virginia Tech. So I'm just gonna say, if you're cool, keep me an S. I'm not fighting because I think there's that, and I think it's just one of those things where we haven't had the alignment. We've had decent offense, haven't had the good, make the college football playoffs. Can't stop anything on the run. The only loss would be to Ole Miss, and then I can't remember who I lost the next year. Actually, that was the only year I made college football playoffs because the next year I had the funeral trip. So year 3, I kind of took like 3 forced losses, and that knocked me out. So,
Right.
I mean, I'm obviously cool with keeping myself an S. Any things? Any final placement? Think we're good there? Just put it there. See if we want to move you down later.
Yeah,
I'm
we can
good.
we can
I
make
just
final
say
adjustments.
the jump from top of A to low tier S isn't like there isn't a huge gap right now.
Yeah, it's all. Yeah, I agree with that. I'm cool with this.
I would say what is probably defining you between S and A is what you've done with the team from a recruiting standpoint.
Cool. Appreciate that. Let's go Iowa. Rank Iowa.
Rank Iowa is the team that nobody wants to play when they have to win a game.
I'm gonna go with average. Right in this grouping, right? I feel like he competes. We don't know how much is lag and what isn't lag. I know I've played him. It's not particularly fun. But he's built a good fucking team. You go look at that team, and he's got some interesting players out here. His losses this year are like Georgia Tech, Ole Miss, Pitt, Virginia Tech, right? He's not losing to teams worse than him, right? He beat Arizona State. Again, Arizona State did say it was like UCF, said there was some lag. So it's kind of hard to gauge. Beat Boise State in a close one. I do think there might be a little element, but I want to leave him right here, firmly an average user, and he will tell you that is pretty fair on where he's at.
Yeah, I would say that is fair, right? It's one of those, I've played him a number of times, um, and I haven't experienced the lag that everybody's talking about, but he's definitely somebody that's built a team around his play style, and he's not going to be bullied into doing something outside of his play style, right? It's like people can, throw shade at, running the ball 50 times a game, but
Right.
it's working for him.
All right. Let's go Texas A&M. What are you guys' thoughts on A&M? I think he's playing a little. I don't know if he's playing too hot. I feel like this might be another one change away. What are your thoughts on him, Texas? You've played him quite a bit.
I'd say there's some skill there. The
Yeah.
team isn't that great, and he hasn't had results, but there is some skill there. He has an offensive scheme. It's hard to say because the one change away would be his roster. So that's not really a user skill standpoint.
Right.
So I'd probably say average.
Okay. He kind of got screwed a little bit with some coaching stuff and some things like that, but I just don't think he's performed well in the big matchups he has had. I feel like every time there's an anticipated matchup, it feels like he's getting blown out. So big losses to Ole Miss, big losses to Florida, to Auburn. You just played him actually, big loss. So yeah, an average
And
user.
when you talk about his only quality loss, which is what I would say is like a loss that was less than a score, is against Arizona State.
Right. Colorado, Mr. Eeyore. Khalil, where do you got Colorado? Who up until last night was on his way to a one-loss season, which was a sim loss, and on his way to playing in the Big Ten championship now, or the Pac-12 championship. Now he's not, and he sits at one loss. Or two losses. He may have a bid in to the college football playoffs.
Yeah, Digga's a talented user. I think early on, the first couple of seasons, he suffered from what a lot of us suffered from, not knowing the game as well. I just played him and lost in overtime. Great game. Had a lot of fun, and we played once before in the last season, and so I split with him 1-on-1. I think that he is top of B, low A, but just the lack of the playoff success would lead me to put him in the top of B. The talent's there, the knowledge there, but he openly came out and told me he didn't know about the position changes with the abilities until this last offseason. So he was probably suffering where everybody's got like house call DBs and he's just got nobody out there with that ability or something like that. So I think he's starting to figure things out, and a couple deep seasons, in the future, good postseason might bump him up to A, but for now, top of B.
Yeah, I mean he's got wins against you, wins against Baylor, this season, wins against Florida State. Those are all really quality wins, and he came out firing. He's grown. It's hard to judge him based off season one, which he did make college football playoffs, despite having Sanders and Hunt like Travis. You feel like he's got to make that. He's kind of a shocker addition. I don't know if I'm ready to put him over like Cincinnati, because I do think the lack of you mentioned lack of success. He hasn't been in hard conferences, right? He's been kind of chilling in the Pac-12. And I feel like he has played, but I don't think it was particularly close in his conference championship. I put him right behind Cincinnati because I feel
He
like
has a win against Danny though. That's hard to argue.
he does have a win against Danny, yeah. But if you watched that game, it was one of those like he gave up like an absurd, like it was more like I don't want to do this to everybody's loss, right, or wins or loss, right, where it's like
Right. Yeah.
but that was definitely more of a Danny, what the fuck is happening right now to you game, right? A lot of missed throws, a lot of crazy stuff, and then Danny like put in a true freshman quarterback and scored like 21 points in about a minute and a half. It felt like it was more one of those like Danny needed to just shift something out, and then to come the next week a big needed game win. You're on your way to the Pac-12 championship game, and he loses it. Not just a little bit either. Got waxed. So Eeyore's had a great cycle. And you know what? If we're gonna move him to conference championship status that next tier, I just need a couple conference playoff or college football playoff wins this season, and then I'm ready to move him up. Like right now. You do that, you're up.
That's fair.
Yeah, I agree.
All right. I think we only got one more team.
Yep, we're at 31.
I think we
I
got
don't know who
one.
the last one is though.
Oh, it's
Oh,
Willie
Willie.
Beeman, baby.
Oh,
Willie Beeman. The absolute best stream to watch in this league. Let's talk about some wins. 63-35 against Penn State. Lost by 3 to Texas. This is a 32-3 loss to Oklahoma. Okay. And losses to Auburn and Ole Miss, but he did just redeem it with the win against Florida State with, again, 8-4. They went losing record in the conference. One of the best teams. Where does he live? I do not think does he play in an SEC championship game yet?
he played me last year in the SEC championship game,
Okay.
and I think he beat me either season 2 or season 3. And you just don't know what Willie's going to show up game to game. He could be A tier some games. He could be C tier some games. He has skill. He knows how to call plays. He knows how to come out and use their defenses. I don't know comparing him team to team how you do it because you just don't know how he's going to show up.
What's your thoughts on that, Khalil?
Oh shit, I was muted. I think Willie's an above average user. I think I've been in top for like 5 or 6 years now, off and on, and I just don't play Willie. Like I never play him. I think I've played him a total of like 2 times. It's really weird. But when I play Willie, he's really good. He's got the skill. He's got the stick skill. And then he just like makes a throw that's like, dude, how did you not see that was double covered? Like you had to have been looking at it and you pressed the button anyways. So like he's like one change away from being a really amazing user. Like it's so I think he's B tier. I don't know where I'd fit him in there because like Orange said, some games he's A, some games he's C. Maybe just smack dab in the middle. But yeah, above average.
I think I agree above average. I don't know if I can put him much higher than where I place him right here because everybody to his left has a worse roster than him. Like significantly. Like the Gators are unreal in the offensive firepower. And you're absolutely right. At his best, Willie can ball because and I don't know how if you noticed this, Dylan, but like Willie is one of the more creative defensive users. You'll make a hot right, like, all right, cool, I got that corner, and then you snap the ball and he's using that outside corner. And then next play he's using a free safety. Like he is always a one step ahead defensive user, and he's always been extremely difficult to move the ball against when he's kind of got a scheme built around himself. Granted, I say that, and he's given up 59 points to you this year, 35 to Penn State, 49 to Auburn, 42 to Ole Miss. But yeah, Willie's really just kind of throwing himself out of games. But keep in mind, he's starting like a freshman or a sophomore who's, despite all this, is statistically having a really good year. He hadn't got Lagway this year. Somebody stole him. But he lost big to OU, and he just beat Florida State. I feel like right in the middle of them.
Yeah, I definitely agree with the creative part. It's playing him so many times these past 3 years. He doesn't really have defensive tendencies. He's always coming out with something different.
Mm-hmm.
So it's not always zero blitz. It's not always dropping into coverage. He's a hybrid defense guy, and keeps you on your toes. So it's hard to play against.
He's been that way for a decade. He is the only person that I ever have had to like change offensive playbooks against because he just remembers. He just remembers. Harp said something about me the other day, but Willie it really applies to. It's like a fucking, what'd you say? Elephant like memory of football. Like he just remembers that one play you ran 3 seasons ago, and he's on it. Now, granted, he might just be sitting at the whole game, so you probably have a ton of other things open. But Willie's that always is a fun battle. And let me tell you, if I take the rules away, okay, Willie will win the national championship because the shit that he's got cooked up y'all don't want to know what should like. In this side league is gnarly. So, shout out to Willie, a top Madden GOAT. It only felt right to end it with him. I want to thank you guys for spending about an hour and a half with me. I think this was a good list. Is there any regrets now that we kind of have it all in front of us?
Yeah, Georgia Tech should be A.
Go fuck yourself. Number 1 in the nation. I'm gonna go lose tomorrow. I'm gonna bet on myself. Okay, I'm gonna bet on myself right here, right now. If I'm gonna,
You better freaking win.
if we're gonna
you're
leave
2
ourselves,
tiers above Pest.
it's
You better win.
Oh, I'm not talking about PES tomorrow. I need to make that. I need to be making a national championship game. That's what I need to be doing. So, all right. Well, I'm gonna go handle Vance real quick, so we can get these games going, and then I will post this tomorrow. When you see this, feel free to fucking argue. Thanks for joining me, fellas, and see y'all next time.